Welcome back to 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast, a show focused on highlighting the illustrious Prairie View A&M University, the HBCU of Texas, by promoting SWAC and the HBCU experience, featuring your fellow PV Panthers, Roland Austin, Jay Cleasy, Big Mike Washington, three-time SWAC champ Gati Werema, former drum major HBCU band historian Shawnetta Haskell, and Al Williams, driving the show from the Hill. Please subscribe and follow us on social media at 1876 SCP. And don't forget, we do it for the culture.
Welcome to the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. I am driving the ship today, Al Williams. Today we have with us Jay Cleasy, Big Mike, Roland, and Shawnetta. What's going on?
Man, recuperation mode.
I know that's right. Got that first tailgate under your belt.
Dust them cobwebs off.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit rusty.
You think? Which way does the tit go?
Who bringing the grill?
How about I put in the sign up starts at noon, but nobody show up to 2.
See? So tell me, man, I wasn't able to make it to the yard. So was it packed? What was the atmosphere like? Was it pre-pandemic level, or are we still kind of easing back in?
It was a full house. Man,
considering the rain,
yeah.
Oh, it was a great environment.
Yeah. I was surprised to see that many TSU tailgaters down there, but it was nice considering the rain. People like, screw it, rain or no rain, we were gonna tailgate. The Qs were stepping in the rain, and I tried to get Roland to come on with me because they were a little young, but Roland act like he had hamstring, knee problems, whatever.
The way my kneecaps are set up, you're not finna make me go viral, buddy. Friends like y'all sit there recording. Are you all right? While you got your meals.
I tried my best motivation. Let's go get him, Roland. And he was like, "No, man, my knee, my back, my everything."
It wasn't enough liquid courage in me at that point. It was to make bad decisions. I was still making coherent decisions at that point.
Already. So what were the stands like, man? Did they have the band on the home side or still on the away side? What was that like?
Well, the band was on the home side because Texas Southern, the Ocean, was there. So they were on the visitor side. So maybe when the visiting band doesn't come, maybe they'll have the Panthers, the Storm on the visiting side. But it was set up for a battle, and it was great.
I tell you what, you could definitely tell a difference though with them being on the same side as the home crowd. I couldn't hear them at all. No. And I remember last season with them on the opposite side and they're blowing straight at you, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, maybe that's the next stadium improvement back there on that hill in that end zone. They need to build the bandstand so you can hear them on both sides.
Well, you got to ask yourself, and I know we're going to get in, we don't want to take too much from band, but, do you want that intimidation factor or do you want to enjoy, so you got to ask yourself which side of the field you want to sit on to enjoy it. But
yeah. I was going to say, I think, too, it depends on where you sat, because I could hear both of them. Of course, you're going to hear the visiting band more because they're blowing at you. Yeah. But the Storm is coming with sound, so I heard it.
And that's a key to their sound, because if you heard them and you were facing away from them, they were blowing.
Yeah. I tell you one thing I found out that has occurred over the last year. Man, last season, I could see the numbers on the jerseys. This season, sitting up in the suites, them numbers was blurry as hell, man. I'm gonna have to start wearing these damn glasses, bro. It's like I'm gonna have to just go on and.
He's been fighting it for years.
See? Yeah. Welcome to the club, bro.
I don't bring mine out either, man. But last night I was struggling too. I was like, since when does a 15 look like an 18?
I'm gonna get me a new
the first and the never mind.
When y'all fools start showing up with binoculars, man, I'm done. I'm telling you, I'm done.
be calling my dad and asking me, still got his binoculars.
See?
But no,
All
man,
right,
it was a
man.
great environment, though. Real great.
Yeah, it
environment.
was great.
All right, I look forward to talking some more football here in our next segment. But last week we talked about the student loan forgiveness. We were a little excited, folks getting right off 10 or 20 grand. So listening to the news this week, there are 13 or 14 states that are looking to tax that loan forgiveness as income. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
They gonna steal your joy one way or the other.
Yeah, there's no reprieve for the middle class.
Exactly.
We can't even get forgiven.
No.
Oh, no.
So North
Cost you
Carolina,
money?
bruh, North Carolina has already, they're basically pushing it through. Now you got Mississippi and 2 other states that are gonna do the same. And for a grand total of 13 states who have the ability to do it. And these are all states with state income tax. Lucky for us, if you're in Texas, it ain't a problem because there's no state income tax. But
right,
man,
you best believe
crazy.
your buddy up there, he'd figured out a way to do it if he could. But
Hot Wheels.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, these are same states that turned down the Medicare expansion.
Yeah.
Which was free
I
money.
was gonna say, I'm sure there was some correlations between. This is not a political show, but I knew there has to be some correlation there. But
but it all ties together because we talk about SWAC, we talk about HBCUs. A bulk of the SWAC, well, all the SWAC schools, as we mentioned last week, I believe, are in red states. Yeah, and so as we approaching voting time, November, we got to turn out, man. SWAC needs to turn out and vote in your local elections because you got foolishness like this that's being pushed by your local elections. It's not the president pushing this. It's your governor, your senators, or whatever. So SWAC, you got to turn out and vote on this upcoming election.
Especially
sidebar there. Educate
ahead,
yourself before you go out and vote. I know everybody's going to flood the streets with their names and you're going, oh yeah, I recognize that guy. Educate yourself on what you're voting for, because I'm sorry, you can go straight party and you will mess yourself over with someone that does not represent your views. So educate yourself, whatever way you vote, figure out what you're voting for and who you're voting for.
You're not voting for the candidates, you're voting for the issues, really.
Yes.
So when you say educate, you may be voting for somebody that agrees with brothels near a church or something. You don't even know it.
I wasn't going to say it, but thank you.
I'm 52 years old. I can say a lot.
My mama still listens, so.
Well, that brings home a point of what we see our brethren and sisters going through a couple states over here in Jackson, Mississippi with this water crisis. Years of neglect of that water system. I'm from Michigan, so the Flint water crisis rings, really close to my heart. And to see this happening again, and just in a matter of years, is telling. And it seems like one of the big data points is, where does this always seem to happen?
Yep,
in the Black communities.
Yep. Look, I had a great conversation with one of our good friends down there who's a native Jacksonite, I think, Reginald Thompson and Jacksonian, sorry, Onianite. But, he was kind of echoing those same sentiments. These are some systemic issues that have been going on for far too long. And again, it's about who we're voting for and what we're voting on. We know the racism exists. We know that there's some shadiness amongst those lines. We know that redlining still exists. It's just a little bit more convoluted and a little bit more grayed out, but it's still there. And we've got to do better with demanding more from the people that we're putting in office.
Mm-hmm. And you look at it, correct. I saw a couple of articles, the Washington Post or whatever, and, we get jaded by, okay, this is happening, but look at this, the root cause of it, it's failing infrastructure, the infrastructure that protects individuals in certain communities. And we have politicians that don't support that infrastructure because it doesn't support their community. And over time, it's only a matter of time that infrastructure, not only water treatment facilities, but roads, bridges, other stuff begins to fail in certain communities. And we're just seeing, unfortunately, another example.
Yep. We're talking about 40 years worth of deferred maintenance.
Yep.
On a community that's 80% African American.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
all right, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, man, before I get in my feelings here. We did have some really good news. You know, this is a contrast where we can talk about some really solid and really strong leadership. The SWAC commissioner, alumnus of the HBCU of Texas, Prairie View A&M, Dr. Charles McClellan, got a 3-year extension as the SWAC commissioner this week. So I thought that was good news. What do you guys think?
That was awesome news. And when he visited the suite yesterday, that was the first thing we said. Congratulations on getting your contract extended. And we was like, they did what they was supposed to do. So he is taking SWAC to new heights, and he will continue to push us to where we need to go. And it's going to be it's bright skies ahead for the SWAC.
Yeah, that was the first thing you asked him. I asked him for 50 cents. I mean, that's a nice little contract.
Excuse me, brother, can you spare a dime?
And his follow-up was it was an extension, but you ain't hear nothing about no pay raise.
Exactly. Like,
that's what he said.
That's exactly what he said. So no, I agree.
So do we need to start passing this hat? Because I don't want no foolishness.
Yeah, we need a love offering?
Right.
We got it till 2028. So not yet, but get your dimes, nickels, and quarters ready.
Exactly.
All right, so we're gonna need to call the ushers forward and get this love offering going for Dr. McClellan, because we definitely need him in that SWAC office as he has directed the SWAC probably into greater heights than we've seen in the last 30 years, most certainly, with the expansion adding FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. And that expansion may not be done, but some of the contracts that we are now signing for TV deals and naming rights, and I mean, you name it, they have their hands in it. You heard a couple of weeks ago when FAMU had their compliance issue, what was the first thing that happened? The SWAC office sent folks down to help them with their paperwork.
Yep.
Leadership in action, buddy. Leadership in action.
That is leadership. So hats off to Dr. McClellan.
Strategic. There's more to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. So last thing before we talk some football, volleyball season is kicked off. And you know, we got some new hitters on the squad this year. So Coach Tacho is getting some dogs, like she said.
Yeah, she spent the last few months on social media promoting all the new dogs she done bought in. And one of those new dogs just got SWAC volleyball newcomer of the week.
Yep.
All right, that's Kylie Owens, right?
Yep, Kylie Owens.
A freshman from Culver City, California.
Yeah,
outside hitter.
Yeah, I love the stat. I just love saying it. She had 15 kills versus Idaho State Bengals in the Big Sky Conference. So she recorded another 11 kills against Southeastern Louisiana. I just love that stat. I just love saying it. That's my favorite stat in sports, a kill. So, but anyway, so kudos to her. So.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to talk some football.
5. First to the hole up the middle, it breaks free. The 20, the 10. Touchdown, Prairie View. And it is Tristan Wallace.
And we are back. Let's talk some football, man. You know what? I'm with Bubba and them. Bubba got that first W. So
yes, sir.
There we go. We on a roll, and I tell you what, I mean, that defense is just as stingy as it was last year.
It was butter, baby.
It was butter. Yes, sir. What'd you see, Joe?
Man, it was so after the 30-minute or so rain delay, the action finally got started. Let's just say we all started off a little bit nervous with the kick return that luckily got returned. So we had a chance to reset that game. But once I think the defense, that first series, the defense kind of felt their way through it a little bit. But then as the game went on after that first series, that first possession, the defense, that front seven, stood up and showed that they were a bunch of grown men across that defensive line, led by Troy James. He had a great game. Kevin Victorian had a great game. And then our linebacker core. We got probably the deepest linebacking core in the SWAC. Trey Green, who's now 0, was all over the field defensively. A newcomer, Keyshawn Johnson, the freshman, number 9, was in the middle of the field. I didn't know who he was. This was his first game action for Prairie View. He was all over the field as well at linebacker. You kept hearing his name, man. So for those of you who don't know him, you're gonna get to know him pretty soon. So the defense looked good. It was TSU who had an improved offense and an improved quarterback, but we held them for under 200 yards total offense for the game. So I'll take that. That's a good starting point.
I'll further take that to holding the second team or preseason second team all SWAC player in one, Mr. Body, held him to little under 60 yards. And here's this stat. If you count the average number of yards per play in the air, and the average number of yards per play on the ground, we held them to roughly 5 yards per play. They averaged 5 yards per play. That's saying something against a defense, offense that was thought to be highly improved and was going to be one of the tops in the SWAC. They still may be. They're an X factor, but that defense, I don't think anybody expected our defense to dominate in that fashion.
And in addition to that, special teams came out to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they kicked a punt. I haven't seen a PV block a punt, and I don't remember it ever happening. So if y'all recall it happening, please advise me of it. But I saw that was awesome. I believe it was Bryce Turner that blocked that punt. So special teams, if you can see good special team play from game 1 of a season, man, you got to be happy with that.
A field goal kicker.
Yep.
Yes.
Money. Give a shout out to that.
We're gonna start calling him Money.
Money. I think he was back. He was getting ready to kick a field goal. We were like, "Is he gonna make this?" Oh yeah, he had 5 or 10 yards to spare.
Baby.
And all right, so we got to come up with a nickname for this backfield, man. We had 2 running backs over 100 yards, man. We need a nickname. They are deserving of a nickname for that show out on the ground. I mean, you didn't have to throw the ball because you were running it down their throat.
Yep. Jaden Stewart, 22 for 119 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then Ahmad Antoine came out with 24 carries for 115 yards and a touchdown. They both, not only did they run with power, but they were breakaway speed.
Yeah.
You have one running back with those stats, and you're looking at the stat sheet like, oh, this is a really good game. You got 2?
Yep.
Man, they need a nickname, bro. We're gonna work
call
on
them the Centurions.
Hey, and that means you got Mosley sitting on the bench who didn't even get a chance to really carry the ball. Who's a breakaway back too. So you got the most depth at running back that I've seen in quite some time.
Yep. And then now he didn't get to play the whole game. But QB1, Mr. Connley, he looked like he was running at a different speed than everyone else whenever he took off.
Yeah. And on that 70-yard run, it seemed like he was playing with them boys.
Yeah. He slowed up. He slowed up the last 5 yards. I'm seriously. He kicked it into a whole new gear.
And then he pushed the turbo button for the last 15 yards to take it into the end zone.
Yeah.
But
we knew he could do that.
That is a talent that we kind of missed last year. I mean, Puma Pass was good, but he didn't have that kind of speed. When you got Connley with that kind of speed and that deep ball arm, I mean, that defense has to respect it. So you're gonna keep those guys in the box. So I was really thrilled to see him do well. I'm glad that I was watching it on the stream, And when he went down, it looked like it was a knee or ankle injury, and they went straight to the commercial. So we couldn't tell if he got up and walked off or what happened.
Yeah, it was a cramp. It looked like a cramp to me. Word was that if they needed him to come back in the game, he could have. But we may have somebody on to get us more detail about that in a couple minutes. But I really hoped. I hate that he had to leave early because I really wanted to see him given the opportunity to throw the ball more. But it seemed as though Coach Fredericks had his game plan coming into the game to run it down TSU's throat, which they did successfully. So, of course, if you running a ball like that, as you mentioned, Al, then if it ain't broke, then we not going to fix it. So that's what we going to keep doing. They kept it vanilla, probably also with a second motivation of not wanting other SWAC opponents to see the full playbook. So it'll be really interesting to see what the playbook looks like next week in Abilene.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want to see the full. They want to see the full power of the Death Star.
Yeah. One more point on that defensive side: the rotation of players. You mentioned the depth. That they were able to rotate numbers of players to keep them fresh to the end of the game. So you didn't have folks winded at the end of the games, cramping up because they rotated, and that's going to go a long way, particularly when you get in the crux of that SWAC schedule and you on the road against somebody. You're gonna have some fresh players, and they did it efficiently. So that was one of my takeaways.
That front seven is deep. I struggle to find a deeper front seven on the west side. Now we know that team on the east has some awesome depth that they're displaying right now in the Orange Blossom Classic, but on the west side, nobody can beat us on depth on the front seven.
Oh, agreed.
I know we don't have the stats to confirm this, but we didn't have as many penalties as we have seen in some previous years. Those things have always hurt us, and I was really proud to see that we finally got that stuff under control.
I think it had, I don't know how accurate, 7 for 61. And in a game that's pretty low, only 61 yards. Of course, you'll talk to coach, the OC, you'll talk to the head coach that want it lower, but there were some teams this weekend that had like 10 for 150 across the SWAC and the MEAC. So not a bad showing at all.
So hey, we got out of here 1-0. We are in first place in the SWAC, and let's hold it there for the rest of the season. Because based on what we saw today in the Orange Blossom Classic, it looks like Texas State is going to be coming out of the East. So let's try and get that game on the hill instead of us having to get in the car and drive over to Jackson. So because we got water. No, that was too soon.
That was too soon.
Sorry. All right.
That was commercially and unnecessary.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Let's close this out, man. We'll be right back. And we are back to talk some band. Shanetta, week one is out of the gate. So what did you see?
I saw a lot. I'm excited. Man, the atmosphere was amazing. I will definitely say that. And what I want to do is just talk through the sequence of events. So I want to touch on 0 quarter, the halftime, and then 5th quarter. So 0 quarter, I think we got a little extra because of that rain delay. One thing I will definitely have to do is give kudos to the Ocean of Soul. Okay. They did not come to play with the storm, and I think they have put all of the SWAC on notice that they are not the Ocean of Soul of old. Okay, their arrangements are clean, their energy is in the stand. The energy in the stands is just on point. So 0 quarter, kudos to them. Okay, I think that was an excellent way to say we dogs too. The marching storm, I think last season, in my opinion, I kept saying, the song selection was an issue for us. So was very, very, very pleased when I heard them play Stevie's Master Blaster. That was jamming. The arrangement itself is nice. They just need to execute it a little bit better. but definitely need to keep that in their arsenal for future 0 and 5th quarters.
Yeah, that's a brash run for your behind right there.
Yeah.
That yeah. All right.
It was good. Halftime. So the Ocean of Soul, they started their show with a tribute to the victims of Uvalde. So, I mean, I thought that was nice, a really nice touch. So God bless them for that. As far as their field show, if the goal is to imitate and duplicate the human jukebox of Southern University, they met the goal.
She said, bingo.
Yeah. So yeah, you look like Baby Southern. They did take
Baby Southern.
They did.
Hey, I know she's right, but that's like medicine. You know it's good, but you got to take it anyway. So,
at
it's
least
true.
a pre-adolescent Southern.
Baby.
I mean, they're marching 8 to 5. The formations. I mean, it definitely looks like you have a band director from Southern who's basically teaching you how they do their drills. So again, that's what their drill looked like to me. They did they did go ahead and play Swamp on the field, which was a little dig to Prairie View. I'm not a fan of doing that. I'm really not. You'll have people say, well, the Storm played Torture. Well, the difference is, and we all know if you follow Ocean, they are known to play Torture. But at the end of the day, Torture was written for the Jacksons. Okay. You all do a rendition of it. The Swamp was written for Prairie View and Marching Storm. That's our song. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I think Texas Southern did fine. Right. Now, as far as the Storm, when it comes to the halftime show, there were some check marks for me. Did the Cat 5 come out and open it the way they need to? Check. They did. Okay. The sound on the field? Check. The tempo of the drill, still a bit too slow for me. Again, I cannot stress enough. If you speed that tempo up a bit, it forces you to pump and drive. Okay. Black Foxes, check. I don't think I speak about them enough. They looked amazing. The technique when they first started, the 3 of them that came out first, one of them being Shelby, we saw her on the series March, the head Black Fox. They looked amazing. Uniforms was stunning. They definitely complete the band. So again, I want to spend some more time talking about them later, but definitely A+ job from our Black Foxes. As far as the fast cadence, y'all know I hate it. It's one of those traditions that I just don't. It would be okay to cut it out. It'd be okay because they're just not hitting it for me. The dance routine. Now, remember last week I talked about the Battle of the Bands, and I said that you can use Michael Jackson to do your drill number, but not your dance. So I was pleasantly surprised when they changed the dance routine.
This was actually
they were listening.
I don't know. But the dance routine was nice. I mean, a combination of hey, they played Swamp. They were crunk. Like, I have to give it to them. I actually enjoyed, and I kid you not, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. And then they got into that dance formation. And I was like, fingers crossed. And again, I was pleasantly surprised. So good job. The energy was there. So yeah, kudos. If I could stand up, I would, and give them a standing ovation for the halftime show. Now, let's move to the 5th quarter. Okay, the streets are talking. The streets are talking. And I have to agree with the streets. I've got to give 5th quarter to the Ocean of Soul.
No.
Oh, man.
I have to.
Ouch.
It is.
Not Baby Southern.
Song selection. However, I will say this too. I hate to say this. Whoever is arranging for PV, you're not writing it to the strength of your band. One of the comments that I saw.
You got to explain that.
The strengths. I mean, PV, I don't know if our trumpets are the best, but you've got a pretty decent baritone section. TSU got a nice baritone section, which is why you heard the baritones carrying a lot of that melody. They got a good bass, good tubas. So the strengths of your your band.
Should
Right
do
now,
we
I
have
don't know
more
where our
baritones
strengths
than we
are.
normally have?
But that's say it again.
Do we have more baritones than we usually have? I felt like it was very baritone deep.
It's a big band, and to be honest with you, and I always say PV sounds good, but for the size of that band, I think they should sound better. So I don't know. I mean, it could come just down to musicianship.
Okay.
But again, it someone made a comment and they said, when did it become the marching orchestra and not the marching storm?
Oh,
Like,
ooh.
ouch.
Oh,
Ouch.
That hurt,
I
man.
say it's about the music,
Wow.
man. It's about the
About the
music.
music.
hit him with the flight of the bumblebee.
Bumblebee, yeah.
I will say this though, it was a really great feeling to have them play Swamp at the end of the routine. It felt a whole lot like we finally got an answer to that JSU
Yeah.
rocks the house.
Yeah.
I liked it because it gets our fans crunk right there at the end of the show, and it keeps that momentum going even after you leave the field. So I definitely like playing that
Yeah.
at the end.
You definitely felt the energy when they played Swamp and they played it. You felt the energy in the crowd.
Yeah.
And here's the thing though, is what I want PV to do, because what tends to happen is they'll do their next show and they won't include it. Like there should be elements of the show. The Eye of the Storm should be your new tradition.
Yes.
Right? Coming off they call it a sideline blowdown. Your new tradition should be Swamp. Like, so there's certain things that don't get old, and that's what I don't understand about the leaders in this band. They just do not care about tradition. JSU rocks the house, never gets old. Get ready, here I come, never gets old. Grambling comes off the field the exact same way for the last 10 years. It doesn't get old. It's what your fans look forward to. It's when they can participate. So what I would encourage all of our listeners to do is learn the words to Swamp so that when they do start saying it, can you imagine if the entire stadium had started saying that with them, what type of atmosphere that would have created?
So we had those lyrics. We got those lyrics last fall, I want to say.
Sam,
maybe we need to post those lyrics so that all of our fans.
I think we're going to print them off on the fan or the towel or something, so you have it there with you when you at the game. Just read from your programs in unison, please.
You giving ideas away.
Yeah, man, don't be
edit that out.
Giving away family secrets, baby.
I know.
But no, I do. I just really wish, because I hope that the next time that I'm talking, the next real competition is Grambling. And I hope that I'm able to talk about when they played Swamp, when they did the Eye of the Storm, and that they don't just completely change and do something, because again, that's just guaranteed house. I don't care how poorly Grambling does. They've got 2 signature moves. They're going to do it and they're going to get house for it. And your fans would just completely forget, okay, this show sucks. So again, I really hope that we can build a tradition on that. So one thing I also will say that I want PV's leadership to do, I don't care if we are winning 70-0 or losing 70-0. Your job is to set the atmosphere of this game. I feel like once we start losing or get too high, y'all remember school days? Remember school days in the scene? And the band was crunk and they started losing, and it was like, I feel like that happened. So it's like, just set the tone. And maybe because, when I was at PB, we were always losing, so we were gonna party regardless.
That's all we had. That's all we got.
We just went to the game to see y'all.
Yeah, I just, this going back and forth, this battling French horns, dude, no, play, please. And
Just
so
play.
Yeah, so my take on Labor Day Classic, again, I gotta go with the Ocean as far as the stands, but I'm going with the Storm for halftime.
All right, so we get to see them again, not next Saturday, but next Sunday. Talk about that.
So yeah, so they were invited to play for the season opener for the Houston Texans game. So the HBCU of Texas will be opening up the game for the second best football team here in the state of Texas.
Get to starting trouble on this show here now.
They came with some fire today now. Ain't playing with y'all.
Oh, boy.
So that and I know people they're probably wondering why they're not going to play with Abilene Christian. I don't know what they have. I'm assuming they didn't have a contract with Abilene Christian because I can't see them breaking a contract. Would I want them to support the football team? I do. I think they're ambassadors for, for our school, but I do understand the exposure that they'll get playing in Houston. And after what I saw yesterday, what Texas Southern did in those stands, you may want to get that exposure for those fans.
All right.
And that check.
You know what, man? I will
Yeah.
say this. You said they sound like Baby Southern. When they started doing them jugs, them plugs, especially when they started playing
Yeah.
Swamp, I said, this is feeling real reminiscent of Southern, of that Southern game.
Yeah.
I thought it was about to be a little.
Well,
we gonna see some hands.
That's how you get a trombone.
that dancing format they had where they break out in the 4 quarters. That's all Southern. That's all, Southern's been doing that for years.
They're gonna put the score on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I can't. I don't want to. Again, the field show for the Ocean was a miss for me, but I can't deny what they did in the stands. I just can't. Kudos to them. But I want to say, and I think I said it last week, even last season, sounding good is just not enough in this SWAC. It's just not. And you can't sleep on any band. Anyone that thinks that we just need to get ready for Grambling and Southern and Jackson State, please, Texas Southern will come and blow you out of your stadium. One thing I read was one band came with something to prove and the other one didn't think they needed to. And I think every band, when you go out, you have something to prove. So.
Wow.
Drop the mic.
I know. We're going to end that right there. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with Meet Me at the Flagpoles. And we are back with Meet Me at the Flagpoles. And this week we have none other than QB1, Trazon Connley. He is 8-1 now as a starter for the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. Trazon, what's going on, bro?
Nothing much. Everything pretty good.
All right, cool, man. Hey, I was streaming the game, so when I saw you go down, and the coach, first thing he did was he grabbed your leg, and then they went to commercial. And I'm walking around like, "Come on, man! I rebuke it. The devil is a lie." Was that a cramp or what was that?
It was just a cramp. I caught a cramp in both of my calf muscles. That was it.
All right. So we got to get you some pickle juice, bro. Because
boys out there walking around like Fred Sanford, man.
I know, right?
So Trazon, tell us about that first game. Getting that first snap in at game speed. How did it feel running the ship again at the Hill?
It felt pretty good. Just operating everything. Getting the flow of the game. We ain't really played in a long time, so actually getting a different opponent to go out there and play against, it was pretty new. Their defense end number 2, he was trying to speed up all the pass rushes, everything that he could. He was definitely trying to dipping in, dipping out. It was cool. It was just the front. The front was just a different speed that we had to play against because we had to block it different than the 4-man front. That's all it was.
Okay. Thank you. Trazon, congratulations again on the victory. Glad to hear you're okay. And I think we're trying to scan the internet for some pickle juice. You thought we were playing. But this year you've taken the reins as definitive leader. He got Pedialyte. Come on, man.
Pedialyte don't get it. You got to get pickle juice, bro. Trust me, I'm telling you.
Say Big Mama and them say get some pickle juice. Go ahead, Mike.
So you've taken the reins of this as the definitive leader in the organization. You clearly had command of the offense. You got this first one down. Now you got Abilene coming up, Incarnate Word, and then Southern. What 2 or 3 things would you like to improve most as you get closer to that Southern and eventually Grambling game? Played a great game, but surely there's 2 or 3 things you want to build on in the next 2 or 4 games. What would you say they are?
That'd be passing efficiency. Weren't really efficient with our passing game at all. We understood it was a 5-man box, so we just go run the ball consistently until they got out of it. but they didn't want to change it. So I mean, if it ain't broke,
yeah, it ain't broke. No.
No. What conversations do you have with your OC pre-game? Like, do y'all really talk about the strategy for the game on a game-to-game basis? You know, how do you want to attack the defense? And do you have the ability to kind of like just throw some ideas at him on what types of plays that you want to call?
Yes, sir, definitely. So early in the week, he tell me like, all right, cool. What are the 5 plays that you want to see us run? I give them the 5 plays, and then we'll work on them. We'll rep them. If they work, they work in practice. So we pretty much think they'll work in the game because they play it the same way. Defense is defense. They still have their same zones that they have to get to, their mans, they switches that they need to do, they same reads also. So our defense do a pretty good job of giving us that look. So, I mean, me and Coach Fred, we talk all the time, though. We talk all the time. So we usually on the same page about everything. And if we're not on the same page, we make sure we talk, communicate, and get on the same page.
Okay, so you wasn't eyeballing him when he was calling on them damn run plays and didn't want to throw the ball. You already knew what it was.
You knew what the game plan.
We already knew what it was because kind of what they were doing, it was like a drop 8. So when you drop 8, you kind of condense all the passing lanes. We don't want to be throwing the ball right into it. I wasn't even worried about it. I was like, you know what? If this is the game plan, this is what we're going with. We're going to trust the Gumbo. We got it.
Nice. Well, trust the Gumbo. I like that.
No.
All right. I like that.
Write that down.
I write that down. Let's quote that.
Tell us what you were thinking. Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, but you know, even though you know there's a lot of running, you still got that 70-yarder, which I think you just kicked it into a couple of gears. As that play developed, can you take us through your eyes and what you saw, and when you said, okay, here's my opportunity? Can you and your words?
So on that play, I can't tell y'all the name of the play, but it's an option route from the outside X receiver. So I was looking at him to give me which option he was going to take. Was he going to curl it up, or was he going to keep going? Only thing is, he didn't give me an option. He kind of got lost on the route because of the technique of the defensive back. It was an inside shade. Usually when it's an inside shade, we keep going because he shouldn't be able to get back to a deep ball on that. I should just be able to fade him out. But he didn't really run it right. So I was like, all right, cool. He didn't run the route right. Looked down to the back. I was like, it's a little bit too late. So once I took it out backdoor, I was like, all right, cool. Just basically just went back across field. When I started running, I was like, oh, ain't nobody over here.
Yeah.
Turn it up.
And we could see you thinking that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a surprise. I was like, I thought he was going to be a linebacker back on this side, but it was nobody. So I was like, you know what? We done brought the deep over concepts. We done brought another shallow concept. I was like, yeah, nobody should be over here then. And I just had to go ahead and get on my high horse.
I got you. Yeah.
Hit that turbo button.
Yeah.
So tell us, what did you, now we got to talk about the other play. Tell us, what did you see when you threw that one pick? Immediately, we could tell that you was like, oh man, why did I do that? What did you see?
We thought they was going to bring a cowboy blitz. So the cornerback took 2 shuffles inside, and the way that they played the coverage, they had 3 high safeties. The middle safety was just known as a cat in their defense, in their formation. So it was like, all right, cool. So it was basically just a high-low read on the safety, but if it's already a deep safety, he'd just stay on top. That didn't happen. So when he took those 2 shuffles in, he was just reading the 3-step drop at that point. And when he jumped it, I was like, oh, all right, you got me on that. Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
well, you quickly adjusted and answered back real.
Yeah. So you just seeing how they were playing it though, because the only thing that gave us a little bit of problems is that the cornerback was off like 7 to 8 yards. Usually, if he go be in the flats, he all the way down, press down. They ain't play it like that, so it's a little different. But we still got the same defense for the next 2 weeks for sure. That we'll see that same look. So it's all about adjusting now, learning from my mistakes, and not letting it happen again.
Yeah, based on film, I gotta believe that Abilene is gonna make some adjustments, and
Absolutely.
that's probably gonna open up that passing lane. So it's gonna be head or gut.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
However they want it, you know, y'all can give it to them. So we're looking for you to go 9-1 as a starter after next week. So good luck against Abilene Christian. I understand the band is not going to travel with you guys, but you know, you're going to have a fan base that's going to be with you this week because we're still in Texas. So we're coming up the road with y'all.
Gotcha.
All right, man. Well, you get that Pedialyte in, and if that doesn't work by Wednesday, man, go and do a Big Mom and them say, get you some pickle juice, bro.
Nah, man. Hey, Texas, your address, we gonna ship you a box of pickle juice.
Pickle juice.
We ain't got time to play.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, man. We're gonna take a quick break here. We'll be right back. We are back for some We Ready shout outs. So who you got, Mike?
Oh, I got my man Luis Money Reyes, field goal kicker for the Panthers, baby. Kicking 30, 40 yards with room to spare. Hey, he was ready.
You ready?
He's ready.
Shanetta, what you got?
I want to talk about Kadero Hodge and Quentin Bell, our former Panther football stars who made the roster for the Atlanta Falcons. They were ready.
They ready.
They ready. And they keep cashing checks.
There it is. There it is. All right, Shanetta, take us on out of here.
PV.
You
know.
Tempo. It's still the tempo.
Somebody
We need that
was
metronome.
Drug it out too
You
long.
know,
I will say this: when we did it in person yesterday,
It was much better.
it was much better because you ain't got that
when
network
one or
latency.
two are touching agreement.
Yes.
I said, you go back and listen to it, it was on the money. There's something about this virtual thing, man. We just jacked stuff up.
So we need to be graded on a scale.
Okay, so we got a curve, the virtual curve.
Yes.
All right. We'll take that. And we out. All right.
All right.